Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Let's do our April Yang or Yang session, however you like to pronounce it. So this is our more aggressive session for April, and I'll give us some of the conceptual stuff behind the movements that we're doing so you know if this is the right video for you and some ways that you can tweak or modify it to make it more appropriate for you. So right now, according to yoga philosophy, we are in the kapha season, sometimes pronounced kapha, whatever you like. Usually in yoga, A sounds are an ah kind of sound, so kapha, yoga. But that's not the important point. The important point is that as we transition into spring, we may notice things in our physical body, in our mind, our mood, our thoughts, our emotions, and there are things that we can do to create greater balance in our lives. So the elements of kapha are, think about spring, right? It rains, it's all mucky. The elements are earth and water. And sometimes this can give us sort of a heavy feeling stuck in the muck. And it's coming right after the winter when we have maybe felt cold and stiff and we want to stay inside. So what do we get? We have low energy. We're feeling depleted. I don't know what's been going on for you this winter. Maybe you've been really sick or stuck inside on super cold days. So my intention with the physical practice for this is to give us more of a feeling of lightness and invigoration, but keeping in mind that we may be truly deconditioned after the winter. So it'll be a little bit more aggressive than maybe some sit and be fit kind of classes where movements are really gentle. We will get out of the chair, but I thought we would use the chair today so that we're not doing too much too fast that's going to leave us feeling flat. So this might be a good session to do to start your day or as a break during the day, especially if you sit at a desk. We'll keep this short in the true spirit of feeling uplifted without depleted. We don't want to do too much. So I'm hoping that this movement gives you return on your investment. Our exercise shouldn't take away from us. It should give back to us. I hope you're one of these people that feels like, oh yeah, after I do the right kind of workout, my energy's totally boosted for the rest of the day. My mood is boosted for the rest of the day. Now, in terms of the kapha season, what are things that we can do to get us moving in that direction? Walking is fantastic, but of course we're stuck here on our chair for today. So we will be doing movements that instead uplift with our eyes, our breath, and our arms. One way that we can do that is to use a broomstick or anything similar that you have around the house. Honestly, if all you have is like a towel or maybe you had a sweater on and you've taken it off, anything you can use to hold between two hands to give a little bit of resistance. What else are we doing? We'll be doing some movements to loosen up our hips, legs, shoulders, lift our chests. And the other thing that we'll do that's sometimes a part of kapha season and this feeling of wetness and heaviness, we'll finish with legs up the wall. So we can do legs up the chair if you have no wall. If you know how to do legs up the wall, you can use a wall in your space. I don't know what space configuration you have. And if you can't get onto the floor, yes, it can be done in a bed, on a table, or it can even be done in a chair, just elevating the feet, right? So if you have two chairs, perfect. Chair and a footstool, perfect. If you have a ton of cushions and you want to prop your legs up, whatever. But I want to let you know because that's how we're going to finish. So we will finish at the end, elevating the feet somehow. I will show you a variation of legs up the wall with a chair, since we have a chair. What else? You may notice I'm holding a hot beverage. One of the great ways that we can get ourselves going without feeling depleted is to hydrate intentionally. So yes, we love coffee in this world. We love caffeine. But then I think that often because we're sipping it, we're not drinking the same quantity of fluid we might be drinking if it weren't such a hot beverage, right? Because it's hot, we can't really chug. So we do these little sips. So actually, to get more energy throughout my day, I will brew usually a whole liter of whatever it is that I'm drinking, and I fill only hot water in the bottom half so I can top the rest up with cool water when it's done brewing and then drink it more quickly to get the hydrating benefits of liquid. And the name of the game for me is always uplift and invigorate without overwhelming. So sometimes coffee can make us feel flattened or dehydrated. I don't know if you get that, or tea can give us that kind of dry, tannic feeling in the mouth. So usually I go for something warming that gives us like a little bit of peppiness. Lemon, ginger. That's my favorite for this time of year. You may find that peppermint gives you more of that kick. You might like something more soothing, like chamomile, ginger. Some people like a little dash of cayenne, which is especially nice on a cold spring day. As we move into, proper spring, maybe we don't want to be cooking ourselves too much with our beverages, which brings me to my next point. As we get into the warmer weather, we can continue to increase our workout, keep these yang movements going, because building heat as we get into the hotter seasons helps us climate adapt. So we are already one step towards summer just by getting moving. And speaking of getting moving, no more chit chat, let's get moving. So drink if you've got it. If you like blocks, chair, stick, whatever, take a moment to get yourself situated. And then we're going to dive right in. Let's start sitting up tall. Maybe we give our shoulders a roll. It is way too easy to become one with the chair, especially on a sleepy, rainy spring day. So let's sit further forward in the chair. Come close to me. Wiggle your butt forward. Do a little butt march. If you are like me, a little vertically challenged, you may like blocks under your feet to be more comfortable, feel more grounded. And let's begin with one of my favorite meditations to sort of think about past, present, and future. We'll close our eyes for a variation of rose, thorn, bud. So we know that saying, every rose has its thorn, and this meditation can help us to acknowledge the good and the bad. Maybe we like to fill our mind with the image of an early spring rose garden. Maybe some flowers have bloomed already. Maybe some are just buds. And let's start with our beautiful rose. Maybe the petals are covered in drops of dew. And in your mind, noticing what color the rose is. It doesn't have to be a romantic red. Maybe it is a springy, fresh, bright green, my color of choice today. And this rose asks us to call to mind something that's been going well for you recently, a bit of good news that you've gotten. Maybe the sunlight on your face. And we're not going to hold or grasp too tightly to that good news, even if it does feel good. Just marking it out in our minds, and if nothing comes up, maybe later something will. And then acknowledging the thorns of our lives, marking in our minds something that has not been going so well lately. This is our little compassion break. You may like to physically bring a hand to heart, maybe a little rub on our sternum, just going, okay, that happened, it's there, it's going on. That's the thorn of my life right now. And we won't grasp too tightly to this either. We don't want to grab the rose by the thorns. And let's bring our mind to the bud. This is a moment of kindness that you have witnessed or felt recently. Could be between you and someone else, or between two strangers, something simple like someone holding the door for someone else. Maybe noticing the feeling of uplift that comes along with a memory of kindness. And since it is springtime, let's give ourselves 2 buds. Let's use this moment as an opportunity to plan something kind to do later today. Maybe you want an extra couple buds, something kind you're going to do for yourself, and something kind you can do for someone else. And it can be any act, big or small. Often just commenting on something online, a local small business or a friend of yours, can go a long way. And remembering to do something kind for ourselves can go a long way as well. And again, let's release this. We can come into a more awake posture, opening our eyes, and we will actually do some movements of our eyes today. A little warning, sometimes this can cause dizziness or vertigo, and usually the cure for that is just smaller, less aggressive movements. So if we're thinking winter, we're thinking cold, we're thinking icy sidewalks, looking down at our feet, eyes go down, body follows. It is springtime like a blooming rose. Let's open ourselves here. So we'll take our hands to heart center. As we inhale, we reach arms overhead. Let's take our eyes with it. So we're stretching our eyes here. Exhale brings hands back to heart center. Let's go at our own perfect pace. Inhaling, eyes up. And then exhaling brings hands back to heart. We might like to take the whole body with it. So maybe our heart lifts, our chin lifts, and our eyes lift. But the focus intention here is to lift our eyes because actually our eyes have muscle and connective tissue, just like the other moving parts of our body. And they need to be nourished and moved through a range of motion like everything else. If our eyes drop, the rest of our body goes with it. It can bring our mood down as we go. And if our eyes lift, it can bring our mood up as we go. This last one here, let's actually pause, reaching overhead. Big tall posture, shoulders away from ears, and hopefully we know we can modify these movements. If we're not reaching all the way overhead, we still get the same benefit. Okay, we'll bring our hands back down to our knees, and let's do something that I like to call childlike wonder. And I actually picture an antihistamine commercial. In the allergy pill commercials that people's eyes are always red and runny and they're so uncomfortable and they have this same sort of deflated discomfort that we get in the cold winter. And then they take their magical antihistamine and they're in a field full of pollinating flowers and they all go like this. And they're so happy, and often they're twirling around. So let's channel that sense of childlike wonder in ourselves. And we'll do some deep breaths in. We might like to move the arms as we go. So let's inhale, childlike wonder, and then exhale, release. We can lift the corners of the mouths. Again, we can lift eyes. And as we move our eyes, we send a signal to the brain. So if I stare really intently at you, I am sending the signal to the brain to be focused and concentrate. If I take my eyes up, out, and around, I am sending the signal to the brain to be more open, more curious, more connected with multiple things instead of one point of concentration. Sort of like I've just walked out into a beautiful field, I can now take in the entire vista into my eyes and my intention. Okay, last one here. I know it's very silly, it makes me feel like laughing. All right, let's get moving. We will do movements of the spine. One of my favorites, and we'll reach our fingertips down. Maybe we slide our shoulder tips down as well. Typically this one is done standing or seated, but actually in the chair, it can give us more of range of motion reaching downward towards the floor. So if we were sitting on our mat, the floor is in the way. If we're standing or sitting in a chair, a nice way to be able to stretch down, down, down without being deflated again. So we're working in opposition, I guess, contrast. As the fingertips stretch down, we still have our spine reaching tall. Our ribs get super duper tight. If we're cold, our body scrunches in. And this is one way to open them up and out. If we would like, maybe opposite elbow to the sky, hand behind the head. And generally we inhale to increase the stretch sensation in the ribs as we open, and then draw from the core to bring us back through to center. And again, let's keep in mind how deconditioned we are. We don't want to overdo, right? Do, but do not overdo. Let's do just one more here. We'll come back through center. And let's take into account how much space we have around us if we're going to be clunking our elbows on the arms of the chair, or if you have a chair like me, maybe even have a chair with no back. That gives us a bit more freedom, but less support and security. Just keep it in mind. We don't want to hit our funny bones. Okay, let's twist. Again, we'll bring our hands to heart center and let's pull back one elbow at a time. So we can start twisting towards the right, draw back one elbow, and then the other way. So depending on your range of motion, it might be a nice landmark to bring the elbow back to the chair. We can have our eyes follow the arm to see what we're doing. Again, stretching our eyes. Maybe we've been so focused on not slipping on the ice, we've just been looking at our own toes for months. And now we can get more curious about, hey, what is in behind me? We're working the muscles of the back to pull us into that twist. And then this next time through, let's do a much bigger, maybe more typical yoga twist. So if we have arms on the chair, we can use that to help us. If, like me, you have a back of the chair, we can take the arm all the way to the back of the chair. I can rest my arm on the back of the chair. You might be holding the back of the chair or wrapped around on the other side, a bigger range of motion. But let's be honest with ourselves. If we're twisting our whole body, it's not a spinal twist. So the focus should be the spine is twisting. Our heart is turning towards the side wall. Let's use our next inhale. Maybe again, a little bit of childlike wonder as we come back through center. And we're ready to go to the other side. Tall spine. Let's go ahead and move, turning our heart towards the side wall. Lower body stays stable and grounded. This is one of the benefits of the kapha season. If we're thinking the element of earth, we are grounded, meaning heavy, rooted to the mat, to our chair. Can our breath be strong, calm, and steady? And if not, that's okay. At least we're breathing. Our next inhale can bring us back through center. Okay, we did side to side, twisty, twisty. Let's do front and back. So we'll take our hands forward to our knees and then up open to cactus. And if we want to add, we're going to cross hand over hand. You might be thinking, what purpose does this give me? Well, it actually gives sort of a brain purpose, not a body purpose. We want to disrupt our patterns. We've probably been stuck in a pattern for the winter, and let's disrupt it. Let's make a new pattern. So as we cross anything on the body, both sides of the brain have to kick in and go, hey, what's going on here? They have to coordinate the movement. Even trickier if you swap which hand is on top, right? Right on top and then left on top. We can be rounding our spines as we go through, stretching the back of the body as we reach down, and then squeezing the back of the body as we reach up. Again, bringing our awareness into the back. Uplifted eyes, uplifted breath, hopefully uplifted energy. We'll go once more each way. And then let's pause in this open cactus arm position. Draw the elbows back. And I almost always like to stop here and do some movement of the head and neck. Maybe roll the shoulders with the arms in this position. And then we're ready. Grab our broomstick. So if you don't have a broomstick, we can just mop through and do the same sort of movements without it. If we do have one, let's go ahead and get it. So the idea with the broomstick is that we can create tension pulling the hands away from one another as we move. Again, depending on your chair, you might want to stand up, shift forward, do whatever you need to do. I have no arms on the chair, so I'm okay to go here. And again, we'll bring this uplift to our range of motion, trying to reverse our winter slouch. Maybe we've been closed across the heart. Let's open it up. How do we do that? as we reach forward, we're actually going to keep the spine neutral. So keep the shoulders pulled back instead of letting the shoulders come towards the broom. We're working in two directions so that our knuckles are reaching forward and our shoulder blades are pulling back. We come up overhead, and then let's do a lat pull down. Strong here, and then reverse. Maybe we're rowing back, and that's it. So we can imagine that we're at the gym, we're bodybuilding, feeling muscular, and we imagine that we are holding far more than, I don't know, what does a broomstick weigh? Half a pound at the most? So that we tense our muscles as though we're holding more than we really are. Really squeeze those shoulder blades together as we pull down. Squeeze our shoulder blades down as we reach up. And pull the hands away from one another to increase the stretch benefit of this. Now I know lots of us may be watching this thinking there's no way I can execute that range of motion. I just had surgery. So we can move one arm if we can't do both. And if we can't do either in this range of motion, even a small range of motion is good. So maintaining whatever we have, even if you're only lifting 10% of what I'm doing, it's all good. Next time we're up overhead, let's just let the arms come back, sort of like a downward dog. Maybe we want to even relax the fingers as we open back to get some stretch in an overhead range of motion. Maybe the chest lifts, maybe the chin lifts, maybe the eyes are looking towards the stick or the ceiling. And if you are nowhere near as bendy as me, it's all good. Okay, we'll bring it back through center. And let's release our stick. We will do some balance work. We may want the stick again, or we may use the chair. But keep in mind, don't put this somewhere you're going to step on it and roll across the room. So I'm going to put mine out of the way. I'm going to say we're done with my stick. You might like yours as we stand on one foot for balance later. We'll do a little warrior series here. So we can take our feet off the chair, and you might even like to be on the corner of your chair to give you a bit more freedom of movement, again, depending on your chair. So if there was an arm here blocking me, it's just not happening. I will stay facing front just so it's easier for you to see me. And let's take our arms out to the side, palms forward. We're going to slide side to side, loosening up the sides of the waist. And you might even feel some release in the sides of the hip, another area that gets really tight. And it's one of those things, it's tight if we don't move because it's an exercise, and then it gets tight if we do move because it is exercised. So pretty much everybody can balance from stretching the hips. Okay, we'll do some variations of a warrior. So let's go ahead and we're going to keep the right leg bent and straighten the left leg. Negotiate with our chair, however this works best. We'll take same arm to thigh. For side angle, let's go ahead and reach up, reach long. Maybe adjusting feet and legs once we're here. If you've never done this sort of chair warrior sequence, it's kind of funky to do. And then let's drape the arm in behind the body. So maybe our hand comes to the arm of the chair. We just let it hang heavy in behind. I don't know how long your arms are. Maybe we're holding on to another part of the chair. I think I'm going to hold the seat of the chair. That feels like a good way to roll my shoulder open. So we're opening one side of the heart. I had a teacher who called this the side door of the heart, as though the heart is a house with a door on each side of the building. Let's reverse our warrior. So we'll take our left hand, slide it down the back leg, and then we're opening the opposite side of the heart, this time in a side bend instead of a straight side of the body. So the underarm maybe feels the stretch or the side of the ribs. With our inhale, do we feel a little bit more? Let's come back to warrior two, pausing here, feeling strength. We might like to push into the feet to come up off the chair so we're not, passive in our warrior two. We can be a little bit more active, lifting off, even if we don't fully come off the chair. So I still have my one leg really secure on the chair, but I'm trying to pull my body weight up just a bit. You can get a similar effect simply by squeezing your bum muscles. Okay, we're going to lower down. Let's release, and we'll take it to the other side. So it might be a little awkward to rotate the hips and shift. We could stay just in a bent leg position, but if we can, left knee bends, right leg slides out. Careful not to kick over your cup of tea. And we're in a variation of our warrior two, coming into side angle. Same arm to bent leg. Reaching long. Adjusting feet as needed to feel good and balanced. If you're accustomed to doing side angle, you may know that you like a block under the hand in a standing class. We could do that today or just use our thigh. And let's open one side of the heart. So our arm will come in behind, maybe holding some part of the chair. Could be a little different than the first side if our bodies have shifted. So we negotiate, figure that out. And the longer we hold, we might settle into it. Let's use our core to come up. And we'll reverse our warrior. Right hand slides down right leg. We are side bending, opening up to the left side of the body. And you may notice as we go, so many of these yoga poses has us lifting the arms and lifting the eyes, especially during our strengthening poses. More often our stretches on the floor have us looking down, right? We know wherever the eyes go, our body, our mind, and our mood tends to follow. So if we wanted to feel a little bit more peaceful and introspective in this one, we could actually turn the head to look towards the right hand. Especially in a standing class, that's a nice way to readjust the alignment for the whole body. If we want to feel more uplifted, we look up. And then we're more steady in our warrior two, aren't we? We stack our hands over our feet. Often we turn to gaze off one hand, or maybe we're just keeping our eyes balanced and forward to keep our shoulders square. Okay, let's release our arms. We'll do our most aggressive exercise here. And if we do have blocks, I hope they won't be in the way. So I'm going to step my feet on either side of the block. Again, we may like our broomsticks. You might want to hold your broomstick in front of you to help with your balance as you do this. We'll do chair squats and I'll turn sideways to show you. And essentially we are practicing getting in and out of a chair, but the beauty of the chair is that it perfectly sets our alignment for a squat, right? So if I were doing squats in the gym, they say, imagine you're sitting down and back into a chair. Well, what if I'm already sitting down and back into a chair? Beautiful. Okay, we might want to have our hands out for balance or holding our broomstick, whatever it is. We shift our body weight forward onto our feet. Let's pause and feel our own strength. And then we'll sit back down. Great. Let's do it again. Pause and feel our own strength. And then release and sit back down. We might like to release the arms as we go. And I like the arms forward to help me with my balance. You may not. Some people prefer to hold the chair. I feel like there's nothing in front of me. It's not my favorite. And like I said, if you want to hold your broomstick, you can. You could also come up much higher. So we do a little pause, stand, pause, sit. If we're feeling strong, we could add dumbbells to this. We could hold the broomstick in behind our backs if we are practicing for squatting with a barbell. I don't know if that's any of us here. That's never something I do, but maybe you do. We could stand behind the chair and use it for support to just sit down and back. If we are ready, let's just do a few regular chair flows here. So from standing, sitting down and back, like I said, you might want to have hands on the chair for support. Hands on broomstick for support. Anything we can do to get into this movement keeps us super functional throughout our day. All right, last one, we come to standing. Excellent. Let's do some balance poses. So again, if we want our broomstick or a wall or a trainer to hold us, we can. Otherwise, we will use our chair. Again, I'm going to turn so you can see me. Please situate yourself however you can also see me and move in your home without kicking things. So I'm going to stand beside my chair. My left hand is going to be on the chair and my right leg is going to be free. It means I need to move my blocks out of the way. I need to readjust my chair. And when you're ready, join me. Okay, so we have lots of stability on the left side of the body and the right side of the body is free. Let's get into some leg swings. So this is sort of a way to incorporate walking movements into our yoga practice by swinging the legs. We can make it quite energizing and really go for it. Lots of pep in our step. Let's double check that we're not gripping for dear life on our chair. Our strength comes from within. We have our posture, our breath. We might prefer a bent leg. That might be a lot more comfortable. But we're challenging our balance by swinging our leg around. We'll take breaks switching side to side because I know the leg can get tired or even feel numb from being on it for too long. So let's switch. The other way, I'm simply going to turn around again so you can see me whenever you're ready. Here we go. Swinging our leg, taking into account tall posture, maybe bent, maybe small, maybe straight, maybe big. So maybe you can even see throughout this class that this might be nice sort of athletic recovery as well. So if you've been doing heavy weightlifting or some sort of training, a spin class, whatever, this is a nice way to loosen up after doing those things and a conscious way to kind of get in tune with our body doing daily movements like our chair squat. So this could be a recovery workout, or maybe we think of it as an uncovery workout. We're uncovering your athletic ability. Okay, we're going to switch back to the first side. Okay, what are we doing? We're going to take the leg out to the side. So we're going to sweep the leg closer to me. And if we feel okay doing so, we'll turn a little bit more, maybe diagonal. So we sweep the leg out and then across the body. Depending on your range of motion, you might actually like to tap the chair, sweep out, and then tap the chair as a landmark. So we're bringing the leg across the midline. Again, we might like to bend the knee as we go. So we're balancing the strength, front of the leg, back of the leg, which also means we're balancing mobility, front of the leg and back of the leg. We'll go ahead and switch sides. We only have one more exercise after this standing. So if your feet are getting a little cranky, the end is in sight. Again, like I said, I don't know how deconditioned you are at this time in your life. You could feel that you are waking up after spring and you're actually in quite good shape. You're just sluggish. Or maybe you have a lot of energy and the mind is willing, but the body, not so much. But we can get there. Remembering our do, but do not overdo. If you need to rest, please rest. And last one here, out and across the midline. Okay, our final, ta-da! One of my favorite variations of dancer's pose, we'll do flamingo pose. So we're going to work the hamstring on the right side. We'll take right hand to right hip to begin. Again, careful we're not too heavy on the chair. We got our integrity of our posture, core, and breath. And we're going to do a hamstring curl. So our right leg is hamstring curling, sort of like a flamingo as we kick up and back. Or maybe you have another favorite bird that stands on one foot. I don't know. So we're squeezing the back of the leg. We're stretching the front of the leg. Sometimes people will get, a bit of a Charlie horse in the leg while we're here. Again, that's sometimes a sign that we haven't had enough movement or enough hydration. Let's hold up. And then we'll sweep the arm in a big circle, loosening up our shoulder. We did this a little bit already, so hopefully we're feeling kind of warmed up, limber, shoulder joint is lubricated. And then here's our option. We can reach down toward our ankle, strong through the back of the body, aiming ankle and hand together. Of course, we have that option to hold our ankle in a quad stretch. If there's some fancy pants variation of dancer's pose that you would like to get into, please go ahead. Let's make sure we're still breathing. We might feel really tight in the breath because we've kind of cut off the back of our lung capacity in a back bend. And then with control, ideally, we release. And we can be a flamingo on the other side, can't we? Here we go. Hamstring curling the left, gentle on the chair, we keep our posture. So sometimes we notice a movement pattern that happens as the leg bends, maybe the opposite hip dips or a hip hikes, our posture kind of falls apart. We really shouldn't know that anything has happened to you from the hips up. So let's try to stay the same. Sort of do a little freeze frame from the hips up. And only the leg moves. Let's hold the leg up. And we're ready to flow with our left arm. Body, we're aiming, shoulder down, heel up. And if we can reach, we can reach. But regardless of which variation of this shape we choose, it's still the same shape, right? So we still get the benefits of lengthening the front of the body, strengthening the back of the body, working on our balance, working on our focus and concentration. Let's see if we can be strong, steady, and still, not working too hard. And we'll go ahead and release. Great. All right, might feel nice to do a little shake or adjusting our hips a bit here. I like to hula hoop a little bit after doing standing balance stuff. You might like to circle the knees. Whichever direction we're going, let's make sure we go in both directions. Okay, we will come to take a seat, rearranging our chair however we like. And again, let's take a seat wide-legged. No rush to get here. Again, if you do want to take a second, I'm going to turn a little bit angled for this one to make it a touch easier for me. We'll do a variation of a sumo stretch. It's sort of an upside down happy baby, so we could get a similar benefit to being not upside down. But the benefit we get to this by working with gravity is a little spinal decompression. So we can take our hands and trace down the outside line of the leg. And depending, I generally like to do this a few times to warm up the range of motion. We might feel a stretch in the area that our hands are running over down the outside of the leg. And then we can hang out down there. Maybe using the floor or even our blocks for support, or letting our forearms rest on our thighs. But let gravity take the load out of our low back. Maybe we give the head a gentle shake. So generally, gravity pulls on our spine during the day. And we can use that same gravity effect upside down as a bit of a breather to stretch it out. Okay, we'll come back up through center. Reversing up our thighs. Let's use our core strength. Okay. Let's turn to face front on our chair. Do a heart opener here. We may again, like our blocks under our feet for our alignment. Everyone's a little different. I think you probably picked that up by now, but we'll use our chair to open our hearts in a couple of different ways. One more time, let's open our hearts with our arms out to T. Maybe a little softer, gentler in the breath here. And then if we want to hold on to the arms or the seat or the back of the chair, we are pulling our hearts through. Then we can lift our eyes. We may even like to close the eyes, but keep stretching the eyeballs upward. Maybe one more breath here. Let's do a little bit of tapping. And then, like I said, our option for legs up the wall at the end. I will guide us through a tapping script based on our chakras. If you've never done tapping before, it's affirmations and literally tapping on acupressure points or acupuncture points. Monkey see, monkey do, just dive in. If it feels great, fantastic, keep going. If it doesn't feel great, modify it for yourself or skip it altogether. You can dive straight in to our legs up the wall. I thought it would be nice to go through our chakras because sometimes at this time of year, again, we get stuck in a habit pattern of, ooh, and I want us to get into more of a habit pattern of, ah. Okay, so we start with our karate chop point. And I'll leave you to fill in the blanks. So we're going to go like this. I just want to acknowledge that this past winter has been, and you fill in the blank. Repeat after me. I just want to acknowledge that transitioning into spring has felt adapt it as you would like. Here we go. Our root chakra, and we're actually going to go through our tapping points from top to bottom. Our root chakra. I have the right to be here. Inside of the eye. I have the right to have my needs met. I release feelings of fear and scarcity. Under the eye, our sacral chakra. I have the right to feel. Under the nose, I have the right to feel good. In the chin, I have the right to be creative. Collarbones, maybe we're crossing. I am releasing feelings of guilt and shame. Our solar plexus chakra. Let's go under the arm. I have the right to act. On the liver, I have the right to do. Back to the top of the head. I am decisive, empowered. I'm releasing the need to do more. I am releasing the urge to burn out. Let's take it to our heart chakra. I have the right to love and be loved. Let's cross the arms. I have the right to love myself. Under the arm, I release loneliness and disconnection. Let's take it to the liver, our throat chakra. I have the right to speak and be heard. Top of the head, the right for self-expression. Inside the eyebrows, I release the need to play small. I release the need to over-explain. Under the eye, our third eye chakra. I have the right to be seen. Under the nose, I have the right to see. Chin, I have intuition and self-reflection. the heart. Maybe we're crossing our wrists again. I release the need to anticipate everything. Okay, our last chakra. Underneath the arm, I have the right to know. On our liver, I have the right to self-knowledge. And back to the top of the head once more, I release the feeling of not being enough. Go ahead and release. We might like to tap on the sternum. I often like to pull it in with this one, or again, bringing our hand back to sternum, self-compassion. Sometimes after tapping, we feel the need to kind of do something to let it go, and that is all part of the process. Maybe checking back in, thinking to ourselves, I just want to acknowledge that now I am. And we're ready for our legs up the wall, I hope. Okay, so maybe we're elevating our feet, maybe you have a footstool, otherwise I'll guide us through legs up the wall on the chair, and we'll finish there. Keep in mind, good core control and alignment as we move things. So for me, I'm going to take the chair to the end of my mat. You might like to use it to get down there. Oh, that's always an option. Sound effects optional. We may like blocks to prop us in some way, maybe a block under the head or something else. So it's kind of easy to leave the blocks where our arms will be able to reach when we lie down. We're going to come into a variation of a fetal position. So come into side lying however we can. And I think I'll show you with my back to you. So if we had a wall, we'd get our bums as close to the wall as possible. Since we have a chair, we get our bums close to the seat of the chair. We use the strength in our arms and our core to bring our legs up. And maybe we're tuning back into water imagery, picturing the rush of fluid in our bodies. Our extremities are bringing the fluid back down to our core to be processed. Maybe while we're here, we notice we need a little adjustment. Maybe we want to feel more stable, taking the blocks beside our hips or even under them. Under the head, something like that. Sometimes we like blocks under our hands to feel more grounded. And when we are ready to rest, feel free to stay here as long as we need to let it go and release. I will leave us some music at the end of this. I encourage us to take deep belly breaths, release tension from the body, and feel free to stay here a little while longer. Namaste.